Hello friend! Terraria 1.4 buffed lots of existing weapons. Some weapons simply got their numbers tweaked, while others got completely new effects. I'm here to bring you 5 weapons that I think got a pretty interesting and substantial buff in the new 1.4 Journey's End update. I'm Zuzucorn and I aim to entertain you, encourage you, and offer you a place to call home. So subscribe now and join the Zuzucorn family. Of course, these are what I think are the changes that stand out the most. So if you think that I should have included something else, feel free to let me know down in the comments below. Let's begin. The first on our list, we have the Christmas Tree Sword. The Christmas Tree Sword is a hard mode sword that is obtained pretty late into the game. It is dropped from the Everscreen mini-boss during the Frost Moon event, which is only available post-Plantera. Before the 1.4 update, the Christmas Tree Sword was not an auto-swing weapon. Swinging it would produce a single Christmas ornament projectile, which did the full damage of the sword. Although the projectile used to be pretty fast and accurate, it was just really underwhelming at the time you can actually get one. Compared to something like the Terra Blade, which could be obtained pre-Plantera, the Christmas Tree Sword was just pale in comparison. In 1.4, it now has a new effect. Firstly, the sword is now auto-swing, which is definitely always appreciated. Instead of one single Christmas ornament, the sword now fires a single star ornament, which is relatively slower than the previous projectile. However, in addition to this, the sword also produces several ball ornaments, which will fall onto enemies and deal damage. This is a pretty good improvement actually. Although the ball ornaments don't do as much damage as the sword and the star, it still gives the sword more damage overall, which allows you to deal with crowds of enemies more effectively. Of course, the Christmas Tree Sword still isn't super great, but this change does make me consider using it for a while at least, rather than just selling it instantly. Next on our list, we have the Imp Staff. The Imp Staff is a summon weapon obtained pre-hard mode, crafted with Hellstone bars. It is widely regarded as the strongest pre-hard mode summon. But that said, the strongest pre-hard mode summon is still pretty weak in general. This summon weapon got a pretty huge buff that made the imps a lot more reliable in 1.4. Pre-1.4, the imps summon were extremely unreliable. Their fire rate was just so low, and it was just difficult for them to even hit anything. In fact, the Hornet Staff was relatively comparable pre-1.4, with some arguing that the Hornet Staff was better in general. The fire rate of the Imp Staff was just so bad that the traditional method of resummoning an imp over and over again had to be done for maximum damage output. If you didn't know, when you summon a minion, they always fire off an attack almost immediately. It was to the extent that doing this was way better than actually waiting for the imps to attack on their own. With the huge buff to attack speed, the reliability of the imps have improved so much that I honestly think that they are better than the Hornets in almost every case now, apart from being underwater of course. Having done an Expert Summoner playthrough in 1.4 recently, I definitely felt a substantial buff, so I do think that the Imp Staff deserves a spot on this list. Number 3 on our list, we have the Piranha Gun, a rare weapon found from the jungle biome chest in the dungeon. The Piranha Gun is difficult to acquire, requiring the jungle biome key, which has an absurdly low drop rate. Even if you managed to get one, claiming the gun from the dungeon left you with a pretty underwhelming gun, especially for all your efforts. That's not to say that the Piranha Gun isn't good. When you fire the Piranha and hold down the attack button, it deals really high DPS to a single target, and any enemies close to it will get damaged as well. Once it kills an enemy, it will jump onto the next. It's a great weapon, but it's a little clunky to use. The devs have repeatedly tried to buff this weapon over the years to make it better, but to no avail. In 1.4 however, they made a pretty good change. The gun now fires 3 piranhas at once, which really makes the gun so much better. Although the speed of biting per piranha has decreased slightly on an individual basis, overall, having 4 piranhas really improves its crowd control abilities. It's just so much easier to use and can be used in more situations than before. This is truly a welcome change that justifies the rarity of the weapon just a little bit more. Next on our list, we have the Charge Blaster Cannon. The Charge Blaster Cannon is a mage weapon that used to be obtained from the Martian Saucer mini-boss during a Martian invasion. It offers 3 modes of attack depending on how long you charge it. Pre 1.4, a single tap would fire off an energy orb that deals 50 damage. Holding it for more than 1 second before releasing shoots a single piercing energy ball, which deals 100 damage. Holding it down for more than 3 seconds would fire off a laser that pierces indefinitely and lasts a maximum of 5 seconds. However, the direction of the laser can't be changed once fired. It was a pretty decent weapon, but it really just wasn't worth the effort pre 1.4. With the new update, many welcome changes were made. First of all, it no longer only drops from the Martian saucer. Every enemy in the invasion has a chance to drop the Charge Blaster Cannon, which makes it so much easier to acquire. Secondly, the projectiles have been improved substantially. Holding down the weapon now not only charges the weapon, but also fires off each stage of projectiles as it charges. In the first second of charging, you fire off 6 single target pellets that deal 100 damage each, which is already an increase from the 50 damage before. For the next 2 seconds of charging, you release 3 piercing blasts that deal 250 damage each, which is another increase from the 100 damage before. After this, you shoot the laser, which is unchanged. You still can't change the direction after firing, but with these changes, the projectiles are so much better and the DPS of the weapon is drastically improved. This weapon is actually decent now, and it won't be one of those insta-cell drops that nobody cares about. Finally, the largest buff that we have in the entire 1.4 update. We have the Muramasa, a sword with a whopping damage increase from 19 to 21, making it absolutely broke. Nah, I'm just kidding. I believe that the top spot goes to the improvement of flails and maces in general. Flails are a weapon that is pretty overlooked pre 1.4. They were okay damage wise, but they were nothing more than a weapon to use until you got something better. In 1.4, flails in general got reworked. Now they're much better, have higher damage, and are much more satisfying to use. Holding down the attack button will cause the flail to swing around the player, continuously doing half the damage of the flail. Letting go of the attack button releases the flail, something like how it was pre 1.4. New to 1.4 however, when you click it again when the flail is out, it will fall onto the ground, dealing contact damage indefinitely until you release the button. With these new features, flails really deal more damage, and are just better in general. For example, the Blue Moon from the locked gold chests in the dungeon got its damage increased from 23 to 54, and the Sun Fury from Shadow chests got its damage increased from 35 to 70. The huge buffs to flails just make them so much better in 1.4, and they're one of the top contenders for the most OP pre-hard mode weapon. Even the hard mode flails like the Dao of Pow and the Flower Pow got damage buffs as well. So the buffs to the entire class of thrown flails are truly one of the best and most awesome changes in 1.4. I hope you enjoyed the video. Are there any improvements that you think are even better than what I mentioned? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon too, for more Terraria guides and coverage. This has been Zuzucorn Games. Have a nice day, and have a great week ahead. Bye bye!